Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Island Tea right here on Win Media SKN, guys. Guys, it's me, Azem, your fave. I'm back, yes, and I'm really looking forward to having an amazing show with you guys today. As those of you looking online could already tell, I'm here by my lonesome. So, yes, we're playing host tag. My usual co-host and producer Jade Gwenny Gwenadita CPL Matter Stuart Johnson is not here, and yeah, so it's gonna be me hanging out with you guys today while we sip some tea, and yeah, you guys gotta let me know how things have been. I've been trying to follow the shows as much as possible, even though I was away for a bit, and really wanna big up Jade one time holding on the fort, and yeah. You guys, as usual, you know when it's one of us, become deputized co-host. So today will be no different. Looking forward to it, as I said before. It is Monday, August 29th, guys. August is fast approaching its end. We are jumping into September. September looking exciting to buy. A lot of stuff happening. I hearing a lot of things in the grapevine, events, shows. Of course, it is Independence. Looking forward to see what the Independence celebrations look like this year. We are back outside for one, and of course, coming fresh off an election. I would hope people's national pride is high. In good spirits about what is to come, and so hopefully that is reflected. That's reflected in the celebrations during Independence time. Even though sometimes I feel we kind of lose out a bit on independence and what it should be about. Independence suffers from the same thing a lot of the other holidays suffer from, where we tend to focus on just the fact that we don't have to go to work or what event is happening or just a beach day, and don't normally take the time to sometimes focus on the reason for the holiday. Hopefully, based on the calendar that's put out, a focus could really be put on St. Kitts and Nevis, its development, where we've come from, where we're going, and just really fostering some national pride. Yeah, feel good about being from St. Kitts and Nevis. And thank you, Glenette. Thanks, Mr. Fleming. Big up yourself one time. I am feeling better. Y'all know it is when you're moving about and like sleeping in AC all the time and them things. You're accustomed to them things. Open up the window, turn on the fan. But but yes, it really is a pleasure to be back. And speaking of national pride and thing, one thing I always say when I come back from these stints abroad is, but there's no place like home. I know it's cliche, I know everybody says it. There's no place like home. Trust me. And yeah, it's a real pleasure to be back. The phone line's already going crazy. Let's see what's going on here on the phone line. Who wants to join the conversation? I'm very curious. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island Tea. What's up? Morning, caller. Okay, it looks like we lost that caller, but feel free to call back. Feel free to call back, caller. But yeah, as I was saying, there's really no place like home. I had been thinking while I was away of differences. Hold on, let's try this one more time. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island Tea. What's up? Caller, trying again. Let's try one thing. Good morning, caller. Huh. For some reason, that line seems to not be working. But caller, if you could try another line, I'd appreciate it. 662-0989, 762-0989. Either of those should work. This is the same line I'm saying, so let's try it one more time. Good morning. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. Alright, obviously there's an issue with the phone line, so yeah, obviously there's an issue with the phone line, so I apologize for that. If you could try another line, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, guys, so I was traveling, I was looking at the differences, and maybe before I get into some of the reasons why I really appreciate Think It's, and a lot of it really comes down to the people, but I have to kind of get it off my back real quick. I know it was a conversation while I was away. The AC at the airport, people, like when I was leaving, I remember Jade saying somebody tell her how it was when they were leaving. It was me. When I was leaving the island, guys, in the departure section of the airport, no AC. No, I left on a Saturday, guys. So you know what I mean. The airport ram pack of people. Babies, children's, dogs and all in the departure lounge. The dog them and all sweating. People, watch here. I mean, apart from just being annoyed and frustrated and hot, and of course, you guys know, traveling in itself is tedious. It takes a lot out of you, but particularly leaving, saying it's on like a Saturday is rough. There's so many flights leaving around the same time, bigger planes, so you understand what that means. I mean, the lines were out of the departure lounge, right? The ticketing area. The lines were forming out past. I see a line, I had to ask the people, I said, you in line for the flight or you in line for the ATM? That's how crazy it was. So imagine now you go through all of that, stand up in line for however long, people literally playing tag with their partners. Okay, you stand up in line for the next 10 minutes and then you go take a sit down and then somebody come back in and you get to the departure lounge, no AC. Right? But on top of all of that, I must say I was embarrassed. I was sitting near to some persons who don't look like what you would think when you think of the typical Kititians. They didn't sound like they spoke with a typical Kititian accent. So my assumption is that they have not spent most of their life at the island. Let's put it that way. And these people are just they kept saying we had such a good trip and now this is how it ends. And I was just like I was very embarrassed. I'm not gonna tell a lie. Well, we got another line, so let's see how this is gonna go. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T, hopefully. Talk to me. Okay, actually we're hearing something from the line now, so at least none of the phone working. Oh boy. Let's try one more time. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. Good morning, caller. Okay, so now I'm starting to believe it might be something with that person's phone. But yeah, so I remember I left. I was there messaging Jade. I was telling her, Jade, like, seriously, this is ridiculous. This thing feel like one of them outlawed sweatshops in one of those foreign countries. I get back. Well, I'm overseas. I hear the talk come up again with Gawain. They say, big up Gawain. Appreciate you standing in. Oh, and all the other guest hosts too. EK, Diddy, big up yourself. Who else was here, man? There were a few other guest hosts. And yeah, big up yourself, guys. I appreciate you guys holding on the fort. But I hear the talk. Okay, they got it fixed. Boom, boom, bam. I'm feeling good. Now, bear in mind, people coming from our kind of cold places, they're gonna sit down on the cold plane. So people tend to dress warm and comfortably. Like I, for one, I always travel comfort. I generally wear like a hoodie or sweatpants, something like that. So you get back now to St. Kitts, get into the immigration area, and there's another sweatbox. And I'm thinking to myself, this can't be real. Like, it can't be that it was fixed last week. And the thing about it, I remember walking from the plane and seeing the big AC unit outside and thinking, oh, yeah, man, things that happen. And it was just like only to be greeted by the soup that was the ear in the. It was so thick and hot, and man, it. I bear in mind, the people working the flight, the plane. The first thing, the planes, for some reason now, are parking way over. So you have this about a mile and a half walk from the plane to the to the immigration area, and then you go inside, and how is it that inside hotter than outside? I can't understand. And I started feeling so bad for even the persons who had to work there, because some of them, from what I recognize, had a little fan in the cubicle, and that seemed to be the only thing keeping them alive. Like, I don't know. We just gotta do better. I ain't going on a long rant about the AC. I feel like this has been a topic that has been beat to death. But the fact that this thing has been going on, like, I left for like 2 weeks, and it can't be. It can't be that it was out for 2 weeks. You have to be like, this is a recurring issue. I don't know what it is, but it's not a good look. That can't be how people's trips start to the island. It can't be how we greeted. It can't be how the people, like, it can't be that's what people have to look forward to when they get up and put on the nice uniform and go to work in the morning. Like, that can't be it. Hopefully by now it's fixed. I don't want to believe it's going on for going on 3 weeks now. But I really don't know what's happening with that. But yeah, I just had to get that off my chest. It does. Well, before that, I was actually supposed to go into some of the things that I appreciate. About here. Like, one of the things really is the slow pace. I lived in the US for a while, and I had gotten accustomed to the faster pace, and then even after I moved back to St. Kitts, I would travel so much, and traveling is constant moving, making sure you catch flights, and sometimes I'm going on long flights, so you're running from one gate to the next. You get into immigration that you thought might have lasted a half hour, lasting an hour, and now you have 15 minutes to catch your next flight. It's a lot of constantly on the go. But being home for the last few years, and then I guess becoming accustomed to the pace, like it was something that was jarring, like just getting back into the pace of things, and I said, I really appreciate the fact that I could walk down 4th Street, which arguably would be the busiest street on the island, at my own pace, and I didn't have to worry about who behind me pushing me down. I don't, simple things like that. I don't think people take for. I don't think people recognize as something that we should cherish. because I think and it might have its positives and its negatives in terms of how that slow pace and lack of urgency plays into other areas of life. But generally speaking, there is it's almost like even mentally there's a ease when I get here and there's that change of pace, right? It definitely feels easy moving around a bit. And one of the other things too is, sometimes we go to these places and you get so caught up in shopping, for instance. Like, people tend to go away and that's kind of what dominates the time, right? The shopping, the malls, that kind of thing. And I kind of appreciate that that's not necessarily the case here. I feel like I appreciate more hear what's happening, the people, what's going on. I feel more in tune. And the fact that you are somebody, as simple as it sounds, I used to hear people talk about when they move from some of the more close-knit communities, especially in the urban centers, and they move out of town, of course, if you're moving from town and one of the urban centers, there's somewhere, Taylor, Shadwell, New Road, St. Peter's, that kind of area. And I would always hear people and laugh and they say, one of the things they miss is that nobody passing down the road bawling out their name. Azim! I always used to laugh at that. But I think part of it is small community, you're somebody. You're somebody, like you're known. You have your. It's more than just you have friends and thing, and you don't really have friends when you travel. I think it's more about the fact that you're somebody, and there's somebody who cares, somebody who would miss you if you're not there, right? And I think we really need to treasure that about our smaller communities, and appreciate that. I don't think sometimes we recognize exactly how lucky we are in that regard. That within your communities, within your little circle, and I'm talking outside of family, that you're somebody. And I think that means a lot. Where people sometimes go away and they get lost, just because it's so much going on, so many people. It's and people tend to stick to themselves a bit more. We really need to appreciate that a bit more here, and that's something when you come back and part of it is, I think that's why people get so excited sometimes when they see somebody from back home when they travel. It's like, yeah, but she. No, you see the person here all the time, never talk to them. Yeah? Never had a conversation. You just know the person is such and such from such and such who used to be with such and such and got a child for such and such. That's all you know about the person. Never had no big conversation. Lay you meet them in a mall somewhere in Texas, no? Girl, what going on? What you doing here? Girl? You never girl me before? But part of it is like, hey, that familiarity, somebody you shared culture, somebody, and yeah, you're somebody now. You know somebody, you're not just another bag of water just walking through this maze with hundreds of thousands of other bags of water, right? So I think we really need to I think we really need to appreciate that a bit small. And I think if we do that, sometimes it might really affect how we treat each other, how we move about. Playing to what I talk about here all the time, the need for empathy and stuff like that. And I think we really could build a better just vibe if we recognize some of these pluses, you know what I mean? Some of these things that we kind of take for granted. And I bear in mind, I understand I'm in a privileged position where everybody don't get to move about as much. Or, some people, for no fault of their own, just never really had the opportunity to go to some of these bigger places. I mean, you got people in saying it's never gonna Nevis. And and I'm not even joking, I'm not even laughing. I told you guys already, there was this one friend of mine who had never been to the peninsula. Like, never been, like, right over to the Majors Bay, where the sea bridge is. Live St. Kitts, big woman, never go. So you can't take these things for granted. And so these people might not have the same perspective, but it's something that we really do need to treasure. Let me ask you a question. Traffic talk been coming? Because I've been wondering about I don't know, it's been a topic of discussion for quite some time. The how should I put it by? Let's just say the changes to the main road by the airport roundabout. I know there's been some discussion about it. I know there's all online and Facebook and WhatsApp and all kind of thing. People been talking about it. But as somebody who has to use that junction right by the Island Main Road and the road that goes to the National Heroes Park, as somebody who has to frequently use that road, I am. Oh, thanks, sweetie. I am quite concerned, yo. I am very concerned. There's been a few times I've been trying to get out of that junction, and it raises my anxiety because, well, the barrier is one thing. The barrier, right? Which I don't know why they don't just call it what it is a wall. But the barrier. Well, yeah, the barrier is one thing, which I understand the need for. Hey, Mel, morning. I understand the need for there to be the separation. I personally would have preferred to see. I don't know what's the I don't know what's the term for them, but they're these rubber. I'll call them rubber or plastic poles that they're stuck into the ground, and those help to let's say separate the lanes, right? I know, for instance, in the States, you see it a lot on the highways when you're going from like there's an express lane entrance or separating express lanes from the rest of the highway. Now they may be what 3 feet high, maybe, and I think something like that would have been so much better in this particular situation. But I digress. But what I'm talking about is what happens is, as persons coming from Connery area into town, they come around the corner just before you meet the roundabout, and sometimes they come around with so much speed that people who are coming out of that junction right there, you get caught because you could do all the due diligence and take your time, look, you're in the stop, you look, nothing coming. From the time you take your foot off the brake, something flying around. They come around, people come around that corner so fast. So by the time you take your foot off the brake, you can't even put your foot on the gas to come out because somebody flying around the corner. And I think we could kill two birds with one stone there. I think we could kill two birds with one stone. The reason for I'm saying that is, as a Connery resident, I've been clamoring and begging for there to be a school zone put up right there by the Connery Daycare Center. I don't understand why it seems as though the schools that are on the main road that get the whole school thing and the the speedometers that show you how fast you're going, and all the signs that tell you how if you speed in the zone, this is the fee. And I don't understand why those happen at some schools and not others. And I think if we were to examine which schools those things are placed by, we start seeing a trend. And I think it's sad that, and I'm sure this happening all around the island, where there are schools along the main road that don't have the school zones designated, and it is a hazard. But I can talk for Connery because I live in the area. But right there, people come around the corner heading towards Connery. There is a preschool right there. Sometimes vehicles stop to let off people. So somebody trying to pass on one side, somebody coming around the corner on the other side, and there's children involved, children crossing the street. I just think we need to really do something right there. Now, if persons have to slow down in that area, and of course we know people are still speeding in the school zones, and I don't know if the how should I put it? If the solution is to put some sort of speed bump or something like that, I don't know. But I think it's something that we have to look at, because right in those two areas right next to each other, it feels as though it's only a matter of time before something serious happens. I'm telling you, as somebody who uses that junction all the time, people are already coming around there fast, people switching lanes, people slipping into some lanes, traffic coming in one direction. It's a recipe. Oh, well, guess what? Hopefully I get to bring it up, because walking into the studio right now is our guest for the next segment. But yeah, guys, as I said, we are just about to actually jump into Traffic Talk, this week's edition. And I want you guys to stay locked, stay tuned. Don't go nowhere, because when we come back, we're jumping right into that. So see you guys after the break.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tilly Wall with a local reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Be careful on the road. Don't make it an episode. Attention all drivers. I'm begging you to slow it down, down. Too many stunt drivers on the road, man. With the fire day, driver, what's your emergency? It's better late than never. So why all the hurry? Speeding is the main cause of plenty mishaps. The road is now a especially those who love to break traffic laws. I have seen what speed can do. Here I am to your rescue to help you to live. Just take this advice I give. I warn all drivers to take care of your passengers. Be careful on the road. Don't make it an episode. How much more tragedy we have to endure to face the reality. Less is safer than more.
Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Win FM. And we actually jumping right into traffic talk with our friends from the traffic department. Sergeant, as always, it's a pleasure to have you in studio with us this morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you, Asim?
I'm doing good, you know. No complaints, but they say nobody does care when you complain anyway. So
Okay. Yes, this morning, before I start my topic, I just want to let the caller who called last week about the sign on the corner of Church Street and Central Street. That the sign was correctly, but it's just that he wanted another sign to accompany it. So you have the no entry sign, and then underneath you cannot go through the between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Anytime after that, on between weekdays, Monday to Saturday, you cannot go from west to east between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. But the no entry sign was correctly. But it's just that he wanted the next sign to accompany it. So that was rectified.
okay.
As I told you, I was going and I went and checked it, and the other sign was placed there. So this morning I want to talk about speeding.
What?
Yes.
Well.
And you have over speeding and to run at an excessive speed over the speed limit. And as this song was just singing, slow down because it caused all kind of accident. And most fatal accidents are caused from speeding, excessive speed. And he says speeding is a major factor in traffic deaths and injuries. The role of speeding in crashes is described in terms of its effect on the driver, the vehicle, and the road. Excessive speed reduces the amount of time the driver has to react in a dangerous situation to avoid a crash, increases vehicle stopping distance, and reduces the ability of the road safety structure. So sometimes speeding, you collide into another vehicle. Sometimes you run into the rail barriers. As we see across Old Road Bay, they put up some. And several times now persons have been collided to them. And because maybe the road to them is like a racetrack. But remember, speeding causes a lot of accident because when you go too fast, you have less control of the vehicle. So, and speeding increases both the risk of having a crash as well as severity of the crash outcome, as I said just now. Fatality.
Wow.
Sometimes people is a vegetable. And if you're a vegetable, it won't be too nice. So just make sure you go to the speed limit. Yes, you might say, 20 miles is nothing, 40 miles is nothing. But still, you're trying to prevent accident. And remember, you're not going to cause an accident with yourself. You're caused with somebody else who is doing the correct thing.
In your opinion, because I'm not sure you may have the exact figures, but how many of the traffic accidents that you guys witness or have to deal with, you think speed was a factor?
It's not much because most we're getting right now is like fender benders,
Yeah, so maybe somebody not paying attention.
Right.
But
remember, you have to give a vehicle length between vehicles.
Right. But you would say that in the vast majority of the fatal and the serious accidents, speed did play a factor.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And reason why speeding is dangerous includes speeding is a leading cause of traffic fatality, as I said, increases the risk of getting into accident, I said that already, and affect the severity of a crash. It also has some disadvantage as well. Therefore, overspeeding will lead to a higher fuel consumption. Remember, you use more gas when you...
Yeah. Nobody want to do that right now, bye.
Yes. And as I said again, crashes, death, severe injuries. And once you have a fatality and someone is dead, it is manslaughter. Because remember, you didn't have the intention of killing the person. For murder, you have to have the intention.
Yeah.
The actus rea and the mens rea.
But at the same time, somebody's life is lost. So
Yes.
there's a
You'll be
cost to pay.
tried,
Right.
yes, for manslaughter. So remember the speeding. Yes, and we have some nice roads now, especially across by Needmus. That's by the power station. Remember, you used to have a rail track there.
Right.
And you have taken out, and all people think it's a racetrack they're on.
Really?
Yes.
Any little street. Any little street. Shop down.
And people have to be careful because remember, you're not driving for yourself alone. You have other road users on the road. You wouldn't have to be another motorist. You have pedestrian. So you have to be careful when you're driving.
Yeah. One of the things though with speed I recognize, and it might sound obvious, but maybe until you're in a position where it happens to you, you don't really recognize it. It also limits the amount of time you have to react
Yes.
to something happening.
A situation, yes.
Yeah, and I see so many times like something may happen that might not be genuinely the fault of the driver.
Uh-huh.
For instance, somebody backing out of a
Driveway.
driveway, a ball coming into the road,
And you don't want to see a ball, there's a child
There-
behind
yeah,
it.
there's generally
Yes.
there's and so many times I've seen situations where had the person not been speeding, they would have had ample time to react,
Yes.
but because of the speed,
They cannot.
they cannot. You know?
Even if they try to pull off from the person, they collide to something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it wouldn't be maybe another vehicle, maybe it be a structure or something.
Yeah, wall,
Yes.
curb.
I don't know if you have any calls here.
We had some persons trying, but the call lines have dimmed. But I also, well, just before you came in, I was actually talking about speed and the way that it affects, well, personally me, because of where I live and the junction I have to exit, which is the one right there by the National Heroes Park coming onto the main road, right? And because of, I guess, people recognizing that, hey, you know, the road is widened and there's lanes now, people come around even faster from the Connery area coming into town. And so coming out of that junction,
You
as
have to
much
be
as you could
careful.
try and make sure that the road is clear before you exit, sometime by the time you recognize
Something
it's clear,
coming around.
something already coming around. And recognizing also that they're coming around from what should be, in my opinion, a school zone.
Yes, and a corner there.
Yeah,
If I
but
cannot see.
yeah, but let's see if we get this person to join the conversation. 1 second. Yes, let's see. Hopefully, good morning, caller. You're live with Traffic Talk. Good morning, caller. Seems as though. Good morning, caller. Seems as though that line is giving trouble. But yes, like I was saying, I was actually speaking specifically about the fact that just before that corner is a school.
Zone. Yes.
And I was saying, hope maybe one thing that could help the situation as they enter the roundabout could be to even a person slowing down, even without considering that. I think the school zone should be marked, and just like some of the other school zones around the island, right there, it's right on the main road, and it's very scary for me at least.
That's the preschool
The
there.
preschool is right there.
Okay.
Preschool right on the corner on the main road. So maybe that's something you guys could consider.
And
But it's very dangerous that junction right there
Yes.
because persons also switching lanes and stuff like that. So, yeah. So that might be something to consider. I don't know how we could do something there, but I really think that's something that the traffic department should look into.
Yes.
All the calls coming through on this one line. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. Yeah, I'm gonna ask that caller to try another line. But yes, and I don't know. Unfortunately, I mean, we're talking about traffic accidents and fatalities. I know there was an unfortunate loss of life
Yes, on Friday.
on Friday. I don't know the details, but I just wanna send condolences out to
Family.
the friends, family, and loved ones of the deceased, and hopefully rest in peace to that young man. But you never want to see these types of things happening,
no.
right? At least for me, hearing about it is very disheartening, man. Guys, a young man with lots of potential. But hey, and again, I don't know the details. I don't know what happened. But yeah, there was a loss of life, and
And I don't
unfortunate.
know.
Yeah, so nobody
I
asked you.
cannot speak on that, no.
Understood.
Because, as I said, accidents, when they happen in certain areas, is not traffic department, not because it's traffic department. Each station deals with their own accident.
Oh, okay.
For Bastia, well, Bastia do not deal with accident. Bastia traffic deal with Bastia from West Farm before you meet the the vet school
Yeah.
up to Canada Estate.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Frigate Bay who deal with certain part of Frigate Bay.
Right.
So for that one, I cannot speak on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know what the situation was, but again, it was just an unfortunate situation to have that type of loss of life. Some people may argue that the speed limits
It's
are too restricting. What would be your response to that, particularly in some areas outside of the villages?
Well, from talks, I've heard you're supposed to go up, but I cannot say.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean because you go up, you're going to go above that still. You might go up and you might say, oh, it's still too restricted.
Right.
But we have to do surveys and things before we put things into place.
I mean, I would assume that there's a method to how it's decided how much speed is acceptable in a particular area. And the people smarter than me to figure that out. But I think what's the highest the speed limit is within the federation? Is it 40 miles?
Yeah.
So there's no way you're supposed to be driving more than 40 miles unless you're on the
No.
racetrack.
Yes. And we don't have a racetrack in St. Kitts.
Oh, okay, not yet.
We have one in Nevis.
Right.
Yes. But as you were saying with school zone, persons should not, or drivers should not overtake by a school zone.
People doing them things there?
Yes.
What?
Yes, because even down Johnson Long Path, I don't know if you know where is Johnson Long Path. That's between the nursing school. And people speed there, and you have two schools there.
Oh.
Yes. We go out there several times, and sometimes you come back with 40-something speeding tickets.
Well.
Yes. And the speeding ticket is $250. It could go up to about $750. Because for each 10 miles over the speed limit is $100.
Wow.
Yes, so the first 10 is $250. And anything above that is $100 extra. So you could pay up to $750. Or even anything higher than that. Yes.
Wow. Well, I mean, I guess some people. Hold on, let's see if we get this call on the line. Good morning, caller. You're live on Traffic Talk. Good morning, caller. Sorry we didn't get that call through. Please feel free to try again. I'm actually gonna restart the phone line. But you were saying about people speeding in the school zones?
Yes. And even on the brow of hills, you're not supposed to overtake. For instance, you have one by Dr. William Connor School, and person overtaking there, you cannot see what's coming over the hill from you. And that is a built-up area, and also a school zone again.
Well, what about people who decide to overtake wrong corner? Because
That's a blind corner you cannot see.
I have a friend who is here from overseas, and she was telling me she was just so
Shaking up.
about the fact that she's driving around and people are overtaking her, and she's thinking to herself, is it that they have some device that I am not aware of that tells them that the coast is clear, because these people are overtaking around corners I can't see, and I don't understand. And the thing for me personally with speeding and overtaking is because of the nature of our traffic and our roads. You don't make up no time.
And that's the thing.
By the time you're done almost kill yourself going around this corner, you got to stop right there because somebody jump out the Jeep to go in a shop. It's like, so what was the purpose? I don't get it.
I've seen that. Somebody overtake me, and by the time I reach, we are together. You're just in front of me.
Yeah, sorry about that. I went to try and restart the phone lines. Let's see if it worked. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. Good morning, caller. There seems to be some issue with the phone lines. Hopefully, we get it rectified ASAP. But yeah, I don't know. I think and I don't even know how you police against that, because for me it seems as though the threat of death should be enough. Like the threat of
Some
death.
people they don't care still.
I-
To me, that's how I see it. Because if you're hearing people dead from these load of fatality from speeding and them things, you're gonna say, okay, but sometimes you might be careful, as I said, and the next person, somebody else doing it. So, and we streets are not getting bigger, or we're not getting more rooms, and every month we get vehicles. So there's a lot of vehicles on the road.
yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. Let's try one more time. Good morning, caller. You're live on Traffic Talk. What's up? Good morning, caller. No, it seems as though we're really having some issues here. But yeah, so from the traffic department perspective, yes, of course, coming on the show here and other radio stations and continuing to educate and talk to people about the dangers of speeding and stuff like that. What other measures are even being undertaken, or at least considered, in terms of trying to curb some of the reckless driving that we see?
As I told you, we go out and we give ticket. As I say, we educate. And there's nothing else we can do. We talk to the public, as you say, on the different station. Because I have here on Monday, I have on Saturday, on Wednesday, and we talk. We plead with them. But some people, as you'll say, they are just lawless. They don't care. No, some people do not care.
But one of the things for me, when it comes to speeding in particular, is that it seems as though there are a lot of repeat offenders. So much so that people know by such and such got a problem with speed, or such and such foot heavy.
You said the foot heavy?
Is that what they said? They said the foot heavy?
Uh-huh.
for instance, and of course, I know for a fact this does not apply to all, but persons would say, for instance, the bus drivers have an issue with speed,
Yes.
right?
I don't know what.
But is there some, because to me, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's just not the amount of the ticket. I don't think it's a matter that the ticket is too small. I think the ticket is actually very hefty, right?
Yes, it is.
It's very hefty. But when you have repeat offenders once, twice, 3 times, is there anything in our laws right now to add to the
Tickets?
citation, not just the ticket, but for instance, in some places they say, "Well, look, you have a history now of this behavior. One more time, your license suspended, or something like that." Is that
Well,
something
We
on
do
our
not
books?
have it as yet.
Oh, okay.
No. You
But-
know, as everything will have to go before
Right, of course.
Parliament. Yes.
Okay, but is that something that
We're planning or
that has
looking
been
into?
considered or
Consi-
talked about?
Well, not really, not from my end. I don't know from the higher end. So I cannot say.
Right.
Yes.
Because I mean, yeah, I think part of it with the tickets is that there's some people who inherently just have this belief that not me, meaning I ain't the one who gonna catch,
Yeah.
right? So they continue with this certain behavior, and this isn't just with traffic, but people behave this way all the time. That's why some people might be more willing to engage in certain other lawless acts, right?
Yeah.
They just have this belief that, well, I ain't the one who gonna get catch.
Uh-huh.
But maybe if you got caught once, twice, and there's a threat of not even being able to drive if you get caught a third time,
They will stop.
within a certain time frame, of course, and that might serve as a heavier deterrent. Where the repeat actions brings with it some heftier
Penalties.
consequences. So maybe that's something that could be
Yes, we
considered.
can. Well, that is taken in consideration.
Okay.
That will be taken in consideration from you, and I sure other persons out there are thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think personally, I believe that speed is one of the bigger issues that we have in terms of traffic, right? And I think sometimes that's why there's a frustration between the regular population and the traffic department, where it's almost like we feel there's a focus on things where we might have one idea of, hey, we are not focusing on this, and
Yeah.
feel are focusing on one other thing. So there's a disconnect there in terms of where we feel the energies and resources should be deployed, right? And it's unfortunate sometimes when you feel almost like, but what else we could do?
And it's everything traffic does look into everything, but sometimes, we have to pay more attention for one thing than the other. Yes, we're doing with tint, and they say, oh, tint ain't mean nothing, but as you said, you repeat offenders. Because you make them take it off today, by weekend you see it back on again.
Yeah, but I keep saying with the tint thing, I think sometimes you gotta kind of ask yourself why that's the case, and it's the same thing with speeding. So for instance, right, let's say, and I don't want to throw them under the bus, but I think it's widely accepted that some of the culprits are really some of the bus drivers. So if you see, there's this thing by the bus drivers, them seem as though a lot of them speeding all the time. Then you should take that into consideration when you're developing policies to try and curb that, right? Or once you're examining that phenomena. Same thing with the tint. If you recognize, like, these same people keep putting back on the tint, I don't believe that most of the officers have it in their mind that these people are putting the tint on week after week after being made to take it off. because they want to use the vehicle to commit some crime. I don't believe that's generally the belief. So you kind of have to take that. I think that should be taken into consideration when we start formulating policies moving forward. Same thing with, like I said, same thing with the speeding, same thing with all of these other things. But, you know, it's all a work in progress, I suppose.
Yes, and maybe before year end we'll see something. Or
Yeah.
even before 2023 year end, because we only have about 4 more months in this year.
Well, I mean, the talks happen now. You know, we it's all about a step, right? And you start making the steps in the right direction, and
Yeah.
you know, hopefully in time we get to where we want to go.
If we get the first read in December, you know. Yes.
I'd be very curious to know what are some of the things being considered and talked about, and some of this stuff on the table. And I think when you have forums like this where you guys make yourself accessible to the general public, I think that collaboration could bring some really good ideas, right? I mean, unfortunately, guys, I see the phone lines going, but unfortunately, for some reason, I'm not getting the phone lines to transfer to the switchboard. So,
So we might have to do it next week, Monday again.
yeah. But what I'm saying is you guys do make yourself available.
Yes.
And so that type of collaboration between
The public.
the public and air traffic could really bring about some, hopefully, better policies that I think all of us kind of want the same things at the end of the day, for the most part at least.
Yes. And before I leave, remember we have CPL on Wednesday.
You're going CPL? I mean, going CPL. I mean,
To
talk about if
work.
you're going to be in the area working as. I mean, if you're going
I'm not
CPL.
a cricket fan because I don't know about the game.
But that's where you need to go to learn.
No. I cannot take the sun, especially when you have to sit on the grass. That's not my thing. So I don't know the game and it doesn't make
Umbrella.
sense going. Because what am I going to do? Jump up for what?
See,
I
but
don't know.
you only go to about 2-3 games.
And then I'm going to learn.
After that, you know the game. Next thing you got on a jersey. Next thing you're running up and down with a flag talking about 6. You're doing your hands. So, like, yeah, you only need about 2-3 games, yeah.
Okay.
10 hard, man.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right.
Yes, but for Wednesday, the 31st, remember, the parking is restricted, certain parking, and also we have no entry signs where roads will be one way. That's Victoria Road, you only can go from south to north. East Park Range from north to south. The road directly behind of the NHC. On the northern side will be a one-way, so you won't be able to come from off Wellington Road and come through on East Park Range. You can come from East Park Range and go out into Wellington Road.
So that means you could only be able to turn left then, since it's a one-way. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And you won't be able to come up from East Park Range, as I said. So you're coming down, and you turn, or you come straight down and you go across on Lozak Road. Parking will be restricted from Lozak Road, East Park Range on Lozak Road, from East Park Range to Bird Street, that's the street by the police station, for VIP parking.
Okay.
So remember these restrictions, and no parking will be on the western side of East Park Range. I'm not sure about Victoria Road yet, if it will be no parking for both sides or just one side.
Where is suggested parking for persons going to the CPL?
CPL. Above the Bassi High School, go up Victoria Road.
Okay.
You have the Youth and Community.
Okay.
You have over College Street, but you know the buses take up to by the step.
Mm-hmm. So,
and you can park in town. Okay. Because I think some of the games will be in the afternoon.
Is there a situation where persons park on the Island Main Road? I don't want to call it Wellington Road, but perhaps Wellington Road. So all there by the East Bus Terminal, people.
No, they cannot park there.
Okay.
Because remember, we have 2 traffic lights. Okay. One by the gas station and one down by Baker's Corner, the roundabout. So there is no parking. I think both sides are yellow line.
Okay.
So you cannot park there.
Okay.
So you could park in your pan site. That's the road behind Wellington and
This is only
between
park and catch bus
Wellington-
here.
between this parkway. You can park there.
This is only park and catch bus coming down here.
No, but you park and you walk come up if you want to use your vehicle.
I got you. I got you. I think that I think that's something we're gonna have to really look into, though. Like, yeah, something we really have need. And I don't think this is necessarily a traffic thing. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a traffic thing. But if you're having events in the park, then there should be somewhere to park. Like, you know, like somewhere designated. Like, this is where you park if you're going to the park. Yes, I think organizers, I don't know if maybe up on the field next to Washi and they get shuttled down. I don't know, but
too far.
but somebody, like, if it's too far to walk, then they provide shuttles, whatever it is. People just park their vehicle and the free get belong and get shuttled over the hill. Like, there's ways to do it, but I know it must be. Sometimes you got to either come the game way early
To get a parking
to get a
space.
parking somewhere where you could where's not a trod afterwards. You know, I just And if you come late, then you know you gotta drive around for at least a half hour. Hopefully somebody just was was working late and you get a spot.
Well, you have Branch Street and you have Johnson Street.
Right.
So you see how close they be to the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
There's
right.
some close areas, man.
All right. And that is from Wednesday.
Wednesday the 31st. So it's Wednesday, Thursday. They don't have any on Friday. They have Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. So those 4 days, guys.
Yes.
Please be advised of the the traffic restrictions on those days due to the CPL. And go watch cricket. Go watch the cricket because Sarge says she's gonna be there. So and if you see her, please give her a little instruction and we're going on with the game. We wanna last.
Okay. Okay, Asim, it was nice speaking with you. And for the listeners, I know you were listening because you were trying to get in, but it's so unfortunate that the lines weren't working.
Yeah, of course. And guys, please we'll try and get that fixed. But Sarge, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to talking again with you next week.
Yes, same here.
All right.
Okay, thanks much.
Guys, we're going to take a short break and be right back with more Island Tea right here on Win Media SKN. Stick and stay, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Be careful on the road. Don't make it an episode. Attention all drivers. I'm begging you to slow it down, down. Too many stunt drivers on the road, man.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a local reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Here are your Hospice Value Mart IG Value Club Blue Tax specials from August 25th through September 7th. Del Monte Fruit Bowls, 4-pack, $12.99. Nature Valley Granola Bars, $12.99. Kellogg's Special K, $16.99. Simply Punches, $9.99 each. Essential Everyday Sliced Single Cheeses, $8.99. Essential Everyday Pancake Mixes, $9.99. And now, our very low weekly value deal. Duncan Hines Cake Mixes, $7.99. Mueller's Pasta, $4.99. Dial soap, 3 bars, $9.99. Pepperidge Farm cakes, $19.99. Rice-A-Roni, just $6.99. And Essential Everyday Ketchup, just $4.49. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
The official bear of the 60 tournament.
Show the world
Time to show the
how
world.
we like to play.
Yeah, yeah. Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we vote. How we hit a six, how we make them run, how we give them licks before the first word. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game. Fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play, it's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Hey guys, welcome back to Island Tea right here on Win Media SKN. Yes, and it's tea time. Long time I hear me sing it. Long time I hear me sing, but back. Guys, I had asked this question. I want to believe it might have been a few months ago actually. But somebody actually just reminded me about it. I don't know if someone could... Hold on. Because I want to make sure when I ask this question, somebody online can give me the answer. Because I have been asked a few times now by a concerned citizen of this wonderful federation if there is something happening officially somewhere up the St. Peter's area where the person lives in a particular area, and time again they have seen vehicles going up a certain place and then seeing fires. So I had asked the question about, hey, is there something going on in this area where, you know, people burn tires? Is that a thing? Like, because sometimes even from my house, I could see the plume of smoke coming from the St. Peter's area, and and a couple of times he's called me and said, "Look, they're doing it right now. You could see the smoke, like smell like tires, literally." So he just let me know again. Look, I just see another vehicle going up there with a trunk full of tires, and told me that the license plate on this vehicle is a G. So if somebody know why it is that be going on, let me know. I'm trying to get the exact location of where these fires that be happening. And if you're the person who driving going up there with the tires, could you please either call in or come on the live and let us know where you're going with them? Because I just trying to figure out. Inquiring minds want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. So if anybody has any information as it relates to tires being burnt in the hills of St. Peter's, please let me know. All right. But guys, of course, when it's tea time, we take a look at some of the stuff happening in the news. I can't believe that Jade isn't here today to talk about the Patriots winning the cricket last night. I can't believe Jade ain't here to talk about that, because unfortunately, I was resting because I know I wanted to come in today. And, wasn't able to go to the game. I was following certain people's WhatsApp. The games were being showed on cable, guys. Somebody let me know. I wasn't able. I probably just didn't check all the channels that I should have checked, including ZIZ. But I didn't see it, and I just was tuning in at the wrong times. I don't know, because I know ESPN all of a sudden there's a lot of cricket on ESPN lately. But I'm hoping tomorrow we could get an in-depth discussion of the 60s tournament. Like I said, I was off island for a bit, so I missed it. And then when I came back, I was so excited to go to the games. I couldn't. So I'm hoping that Jade, and we're supposed to actually have a talk with the guys from the CPL coming up hopefully sometime this week. So we'll get an in-depth review of the 60 tournament. I'm very interested about that particular type of format. The games are shown on Sportsmax. Igabe was looking at the wrong time, because I kept tuning into Sportsmax trying to catch the games, and anyway, maybe they weren't live, or I just had the wrong time. I don't know. Channel 99. Wow. Okay, I got to make sure I check it out. But hopefully the CPL games, I'm able to go and watch a couple of them. That is definitely my intention. But congratulations to the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots, who won the inaugural 60 cricket tournament last night. From the accounts that I saw, it was a very interesting game. This one lady tell me Patriots like to play with your pressure. I don't know what that mean. I don't know what had them. Okay, it had them live on YouTube, but they were blocked here. I understand that. That is a thing as well. Lord, no, bear in mind, I traveled the week after elections. I was here for like a week after the election. But for all of y'all who message me and tell me I only chose to travel that time because I didn't want to talk about it, I didn't want to talk about the election. Me know where I got it from. But y'all might have been onto something, because I may have been all politicked out, I must say, after the last few months. And of course, how could you not talk about politics, given the situation that we were in? Oh, somebody's saying Sportsmax only had the one yesterday morning. Okay. But, yeah, of course, as we now get into the issue of governance and moving forward, some of the news stories are still, of course, about politics, and this is being read from WidMediaSKN.com. With media, big up yourself, news team upstairs. More power to you guys. But the headline reads, Prime Minister says former administration kept COVID-19 travel restrictions for political reasons. It has been 2 weeks since the COVID-19 travel entry protocols were dropped by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I must say, hear, hear. I am in full agreement. The removal of the travel requirements came into effect on August 15th after Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, made the announcement on August 13th. Before becoming the Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, political leaders, candidates and supporters of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and the People's Action Movement took to the streets of Bastille, St. Kitts in protest against then Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris and his government in a freedom march on July the 1st. One key reason for the march was the removal of the travel entry requirements that would allow nationals in the diaspora to return to the country without restrictions to cast their vote in the August 5th general elections. In an interview on freedom's issues with Juni Liebert on August 26, Dr. Drew reiterated that the decision to remove the protocols were based on scientific data and not a political ploy. We were able to use the scientific data to make informed decisions, so this was not a political decision. It was a scientifically informed decision. We have the data, and of course we act on the data. I think that our decisions should be data-driven and not politically driven, especially when you are dealing with a pandemic, said Dr. Drew. The Prime Minister alluded to the data being ignored by the previous administration for political reasons. I want people to know that this is founded really on the scientific data. The scientific data has informed this decision. I was informed that they had the data since in May. And I am saying today that it was for political reasons why the restrictions were not slackened. I will say that. That's the first thing I did, which was to ask for the scientific data. Dr. Drew extended gratitude to the COVID-19 task force for their work throughout the COVID-19 pandemic thus far. Well, guys, I guess in this particular article, it isn't really said explicitly, but I suspect that, or actually, yes, it did mention that perhaps the reason why the restrictions weren't slackened was to try and make it more difficult to deter, to lessen the amount of persons who would have been flying in to participate in the elections. I mean, of course I wouldn't know. I wasn't part of those decision-making processes. But of course we don't want it, we wouldn't want anything that would be to disenfranchise persons. But I believe that we really do have to figure this out, right? We've spoken about this way too much now. And I believe that most people that you speak to would agree that we have to look at the issue of overseas voters. All right? We have to look at it. There are several suggestions on the table. There are several solutions, some fully worked out from what I have heard, some partly. And I believe what is important is that we figure out. I think, you know what I think it is? I think sometimes when we're having these discussions, we start from the wrong places, and so we end up in the wrong place, right? If you start on the wrong street, a lot of times you end up at the wrong destination. I think we need to really figure out what it is that vote means, who it is that should be then allowed to contribute, and what are the requirements that make you eligible, right? Is it just a matter of citizenship? Is it just a matter of who pay tax, contributions? I think if we start out there, then right off the bat, we narrow down some of what the possible ways forward are. Because we really have to look at it. And I don't believe it's one prong. I believe that is one part. Who should be allowed to vote? That's one thing. And then I think the other thing that we have to look at is electoral reform that can then allow for persons either to not have to come here to vote, that's one, or perhaps put things in place to lessen the situation we have where political parties finance the travel for persons to come here, because then things get real murky. And that is a rabbit hole that I am not prepared to go down right now, because if we really take that to its extent, we start looking at one, could that be viewed as a bribe? We start looking at where the money coming from to finance these flights. So we go into campaign financing, we go into what is owed to the people after such and such getting. That's a deep dark hole that I am not interested in going on right now. But yeah, of course, when we start talking about politicizing some of these types of decisions, the pandemic, I think that has been a constant cry from oppositions all across the world that governments have been politicizing the pandemic and using it for whatever political advantages. And of course, those things would be debated, and persons would. I think in some elections, it has been a hot topic that influenced election results. Perhaps even here, that might have been one of the things that persons may have considered when they were making their vote. But we move forward, and we're going to have to find ways to avoid those types of situations going forward. As much as I have been an advocate, well, not say advocate, but I've been happy that we've moved away from those restrictions. And I have embraced. I actually like the fact that we still have the portal thing. One thing that was interesting to me, when I was traveling back home, I tried to fill out the electronic customs form, and was not successful. Like, I tried about 2 or 3 times, up to when I was sitting on the plane trying to get it done, and every time I tried to submit, it just wouldn't let me submit. So I was like, well, this at least I could travel, right? Because prior to that, I would not have been able to travel because I would have had some approval. But that is no longer the case. I was quite happy for that to be the case. But when I got here, and I informed the immigration officer that I was not successful in my attempt to fill out the form, they told me I would still have to fill it out. So I say, okay, so what's supposed to happen now? I was told to kind of go to the side and speak to this lady. When I went to speak to the lady, there were like 4 or 5 other people who were already there to speak to the same lady. And she was very helpful. But basically, I still had to fill out the form. So I was like, and you have to fill it out on your own device. Now, what about people who don't have phones? And you guys might say that is nobody, but literally when I was leaving to go, a lady had lost her phone at the airport here. So where she was going to, she would not have had a phone. And if she had to do something like that, then I don't know. So perhaps are people who just aren't phone savvy, persons who are not, let's say, electronically inclined. I really thought I would have come here and they would have just given me the paper to fill out. But that wasn't the case. So I then had to fill it out. She gave me some instructions to see if that would help with the situation. I eventually got it filled out. However, there was an older couple who was one of the persons who didn't get the form filled out. And they were having real issues getting it filled out. I don't know if it was an issue with his phone or the guy's phone or maybe just not understanding what was happening. And I was just trying to get out because, again, India hot. India was hot. So I was just trying to get out. And the immigration then identified someone to go and help the couple. The person literally took their phone, was trying to get it done, and they themselves got frustrated after, from what I could ascertain, the information, the process started over like 3 times while I was there. And the guy literally just sit down in the chair and was like, well, I know what to do. I think you just keep starting over. So, of course, with, technology, there's some growing pains and things, but I think there should be options. I think most people, of course, will like the fact that, hey, I can just fill out this, upload these things, even though the process is still tedious and lengthy, especially if you're traveling with, a group of 5 people. I mean, crazy. It's like that process is, you have to put down all the information that in the passport, then upload the passport. Give me one. Either let me upload all the information in the passport, but don't, or just let me send you the picture with all the information on it. Because you're still gonna take my passport when I get here. You still have to take my passport. Still have to run it through the thing. Still have to go through all of this. So it's like, anyway, that's another issue. But I believe most people are going to use the electronic form of registration and filling out the form online prior to them getting here. It really does help to speed up the process at least once you land. But perhaps they need to consider, for persons who may be a bit behind, or at least do a phased approach, at least for now, where persons can still maybe fill out a form moving forward. I know there's been a lot of talk of e-government and totally digitizing the government services, which I am all for. I hope it's done in a systematic method whereby information can then be shared among all the departments and facilities, and not necessarily this department just get a system for their thing and this person and this system, and then none of these systems actually talk. So everything still, hopefully it's all done where it's all one big system and each department has access to what they need access to, etc., etc. And there's proper clearances for persons being able to access certain information, etc., etc. But yeah, it definitely is a plus. But we probably need to have the forms. Somebody is actually suggesting that we have the kiosk and on the airport. I think that could be an option that is added as well. I know I don't. When people say global entry, we don't global entry don't work here. We ain't part of the globe. Like, we're not on the globe. In St. Kitts, I mean, understand how that work. Anyway, I don't know if that is just an American thing or what, but yeah, having persons able to use kiosk, I think, as an option could work, especially returning nationals. And that'll be the thing for me, you know, like as somebody who travel a lot, I just get frustrated when every time I come back, they got to stamp in my passport. That is a personal pet peeve because passports ain't really got that much pages. And then when my passport full, they don't just give me more pages. They're done with that. I have to go and get a whole new passport. But that is me just personal gripes, and nothing probably going to change. But the kiosk, yes, I would definitely be a fan of that. The problem is that if we can't get the AC to work, I don't know who can take care of the kiosk. That might have been a bit petty. I apologize. But but yeah, guys, I have been told that I actually really need to run the sponsors ads. The sponsors are important, and so I'm going to take a short break and be right back with more Island Tea right here on Win Media SKN. Stick and stay, guys.
Feel the magic happening. Campari. Taste.
Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back, guys, to Island Tea. And yeah, it is Monday, August 29th, and the time is 9:42. Well, guys, it is August. We're heading into September. According to the little nursery rhyme that I learned when I was young, it's supposed to be August a must, September remember. But I think things done turn on the head long time. They done change up all of that, and they need to redo the whole little saying as it relates to the hurricane season, because the hurricanes seem to be coming later and later and later and later, and becoming more and more frequent. I remember when I was young, you hear about hurricane like once every other year. But now it's like you're getting 5, 6, 7 a season. Luckily, we've been spared. The brunt of any major hurricanes for some time. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to remain vigilant and remain prepared. And understand that we are very susceptible, as we've seen in times past, to the effects of these major hurricanes. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because there is a tropical disturbance. It's called AL91, and it is likely to become a depression or storm. And residents are urged to monitor the system closely and to be prepared. Of course, guys, you have to remain vigilant, remain prepared, and implement your hurricane plan. If you ain't on a hurricane plan, find one. Ask a friend, phone somebody, check me on the street. Let's come up with a hurricane plan, because I think sometimes we become lackadaisical for the reasons I mentioned before. The fact that we've been blessed to not have any major hurricanes affect us here in the Federation. At least in any serious ways. It's almost like when people hear hurricane coming, they feel, oh, that's a day off from work and some nice 20 toes weather and just cool at home. Because that's kind of what it's been. And instead of being thankful, we kind of feel like we're entitled to the day offs with very little damage to property or infrastructure. But that's not the case. So there was a alert statement, and this came from Antigua and Barbuda's meteorological services, and this was issued at 11 a.m. yesterday. And it says, this is for the Leeward Islands and the British Virgin Islands. A tropical disturbance has entered the monitored area. A tropical cyclone alert is in effect for the Leeward Islands and the British Virgin Islands. A tropical cyclone alert means that, in this case, a tropical disturbance is in our monitored area of concern, but a watch or warning is not required at this time. It is too early to determine the full impacts of the system, if any, with high certainty. At this time, AL91 is forecast to be in the vicinity on Friday or Saturday as a tropical depression or minimal tropical storm. Therefore, it poses an elevated threat with the potential to cause limited impacts from storm force winds and high seas, resulting in life-threatening conditions and minor disruptions to daily life. To be safe, be prepared to implement your hurricane disaster plan. All right, and then it goes into where the system is or was at that particular time. And it's saying it is moving toward the west at 10 miles per hour. A turn to the west-northwest is forecast for around the middle of the week. Maximum sustained winds are near 35 miles per hour with higher gust. Some strength, it is cut off, so that's why I'm a little bit, it's a bit cut off. So it's saying the system is likely to become a tropical depression later this week. On its forecast track, the system will possibly be near the islands this weekend as a minimal tropical cyclone. There is a reasonable worst-case scenario of the cyclone becoming a tropical storm. Notwithstanding, it is too early to say with high certainty the eventual path of the system and hence the impacts, if any. And again, it's urging us to remain vigilant, to monitor the tropical disturbance, and to be prepared for any eventualities this may bring. And again, guys, it is saying by this weekend, Friday or Saturday. So bear that in mind, please. Please bear that in mind. Again, it's very disheartening when we see persons not prepared and then have to deal with the effects of hurricanes and storms and such. Even minor flooding could cause some serious damage if one isn't really looking out for it. So stay tuned. We'll try and give you more updates as the week goes on and as they come in. And yeah. Oh, hey Beatrice, good morning. I am feeling well. Thank you to all of you guys who checked up on me and messaged even during the time I was away. I just want to say I appreciate you guys for sure. Now, this was a very interesting article, one of Jade's picks. And it's something that I had been monitoring for some years now after I had a friend who was actually in a similar situation. The headline on this reads, at $249 per day, prison stays leave ex-inmates deep in debt. 2 decades after her release from prison, Teresa Beatty feels she is still being punished. When her mother died 2 years ago, the state of Connecticut put a lien on the Stanford home she and her siblings inherited. It is said she owed $83,762 to cover the cost of her 2.5-year imprisonment for drug crimes. How much money she owe? Because she went to jail? $83,762, not rubles, not Guyanese dollars, not monopoly money, US dollars. You understand? Now she's afraid she'll have to sell her home of 51 years, where she lives with 2 adult children, a grandchild, and her disabled brother. I'm about to be homeless, she said. She's now 58. Who in March became the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit challenging the state law that charges prisoners $249 a day for the cost of their incarceration. I just don't think it's right because I feel I already paid my debt to society. I just don't think it's fair for me to be paying twice. All but 2 states have so-called pay-to-stay laws that make prisoners pay for their time behind bars, though not every state actually pursues people for the money. Supporters say the collections are a legitimate way for states to recoup millions of taxpayer dollars spent on prisons and jails. The money don't go back to the taxpayers though. Anyway, sorry. Let me continue reading. Critics say it's an unfair second penalty that hinders rehabilitation by putting former inmates in debt for life. Efforts have been underway in some places to scale back or eliminate such policies. 2 states, Illinois and New Hampshire, have repealed their laws since 2019. Connecticut also overhauled its statute this year, keeping it in place only for the most serious crimes such as murder and exempting prisoners from having to pay the first $50,000 of their incarceration cost. Under the revised law, about 98% of Connecticut inmates no longer have to pay any of the costs of the incarceration after they get out, said State Rep. Steve Stratsform, a Bridgeport Democrat and a sponsor of the repeal legislation. The state retained its ability, though, to collect some prison debts already on the books before the law changed. It's unclear whether the change in the law made after Betty sued will be enough to keep her in her home. That will be decided in court. Her lawyers have asked a federal judge to block the state from enforcing the law against anyone, saying it remains unfair even after the amendments. Beatty acknowledges she was guilty of selling and possessing drugs, but nobody told her when she went to jail that every day behind bars would cost her more than a night in a fine hotel. That's one of the things with me too, $249 per day. You could go on a cruise for 4 days for the money. But anyway, it just drags you back to despair, said Beatty, who has had other brushes with the law over drug possession since her release from jail. but has also become a certified nursing assistant. That's where I feel like I'm at. I feel like no hope. Where do I go? All of this work, and it feels like I've done it in vain. Petty laws were put in place in many areas during a tough on crime era of the 1980s and 90s. As prison populations ballooned, policymakers questioned how to pay for incarceration costs. So instead of raising taxes, the solution was to shift the cost burden from the state and the taxpayers onto the incarcerated. Laws vary from state to state. Many, like Connecticut, only go after inmates for the cost of incarceration if they have come into money after leaving prison. A few, such as North Carolina, have laws on the books but almost never use them. Connecticut's partial repeal went into effect July 1st. The state is projected to collect about $5.5 million less per year from ex-prisoners because of the change. The reason why this is interesting to me is because when we had some conversations here as it relates to incarceration, right? That has been a recurring theme for some persons. Oh, so I got them in there feeding them 3 square meals. My money got to pay for that there. Blah blah blah. I wonder. I sometimes wonder, like, but if we as a society decide that this is how we want to deal with those among us who have gone against the laws that society has put in place, then like that's what we've decided. Like, we decide that this is how we want to deal with it, and there's going to be a cost that's acknowledged. But when people come out of prison, sometimes because of the stigma attached to it, can't get jobs, sometimes can't move away, can't travel, can't do all kind of things. How y'all expect to get this money? Now, I have been looking at this. I had a friend who he was incarcerated and he left prison, and he actually didn't know that he had this money to pay until he got an inheritance. Once he got an inheritance, I think he said it might have been his great uncle or something that left him some money. The state came and was like, oh yeah, by the way, remember when you went to prison? Yeah, there was a bill. And we're taking it out of your inheritance. We're taking the money out of the inheritance. So the money that his uncle had left for him to try and get him back on his feet, after his incarceration, the state took that money. The state took that money as partial payment for his time paying the debt to society. So I couldn't understand. I think in the same article I was reading, I didn't finish it, but I think there was a situation where a guy had even, because of course some of these states, what they do, they don't really come after you for the money until they walk out, oh, you get some money. So, all of a sudden you make something better of yourself, they want the money now. Or you win the lotto, they want the money. Or in this guy's case, he actually had gotten a settlement for a car accident. So I think it was insurance payout. So the insurance paid him something like $21,000 as a result of the investigation and the payment after the accident. And the state came and took one big chunk out of it. By the time the guy finished paying his lawyer fees, out of the $21,000, I think he was only left with $3,000. So now he has $3,000. How is he supposed to get back a vehicle? how is he supposed to move forward his life? I think some of that $21,000 was supposed to go towards medical bills as well. So how is he supposed to pay these medical bills? Look, we live in a crazy world, and I think when we start talking about the cost to society to incarcerate people, this is why I keep saying I think we really need to have a revamp in how we look at incarceration, the purpose. Is it just so that we put people in a place and forget about them because we don't want to deal with them? Is it just that we see it as punishment because, of course, persons are honest, people are supposed to take responsibility for their actions, of course, but is it that we don't feel as though in a lot of times we only see persons as criminals, not always as not acknowledging that they could also be victims? Because that's something that one of these days I'm coming here and talk about too. So let's see. Somebody is saying lawyer fees for accidents are normally only 20 to 25% of the payout. No, well, this one wasn't my friend. This was somebody in the article. But what happened is, yeah, he paid the lawyer fees, but because of how much the state took, he only was left with $3,000 out of the $21,000. But yeah, so I was saying, like, sometimes we have to really look at how we view persons who enter into the criminal justice system, who are incarcerated, who are convicted, and perhaps those things would inform the decisions we make as to how we deal with them. Because these kind of things here are just interesting to me. The reason I brought it up, like I said, is because I hear the same sentiments being echoed here locally about, sending people to jail, and it's my money got to feed them in there, they get 3 square meal, and as if going in there for the meals are that great. Like if it's so great, well, you could just go into. You could just go into, nothing. Since the meals are so great and thing, and then just go in there and get yours. And at least you get back some of your money. But guys, we are going to have to call it that for today. It's been good being back again. Appreciate so much the guy, those of you who hit me up, and kept me in your prayers and just wanted to let me know that you guys miss me. It's been a great day coming back, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the week hanging out with you guys for sure. It's time for me to leave, time for me to go, time for me to disembark. And those of you on the live, you guys are the real MVPs. And I really want to apologize to those of you who have been trying to call. I've seen the phone lines trying to light up. We'll get that rectified for sure by tomorrow. And you could hear from the persons calling in. Those of you who are listening on the social media, on the digital platforms, YouTube, Facebook, tune in, winmediaskn.com. Big up yourself one time. All the OGs on the FM dial, appreciate you guys big time. Make sure you turn up the radio loud. Everybody in the office could hear. They want to hear us too, yeah. They want to hear us too. So ain't nothing. The boss probably listening to us in the earpods. So you ain't gonna even mind. Don't study that. But guys, it's been great. It's been amazing. Looking forward to talking to you guys more coming up this week. And of course, before I go, please learn from the losses of others. You don't have to go make all the mistakes yourself. I've seen too much of that. Too much repetitive mistakes. Everybody, people making the mistakes, just watch them. You ain't got to follow them. Spend more time living your content than posting it. I ain't even going into detail on that one. But please, most of all, please remember, you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. See you guys tomorrow.